Okay.
Are you ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unconventional GMs. And this is the third part in our Odyssey Aquatica little mini campaign that we're doing. If you haven't seen the first two parts, you can zip across to YouTube, which will either there or there, depending on how this video renders when we do it funnily. But yes, this is our series where we run games with vim and vigor, trying to pack in 4 hours worth of content in a 2 hour convention slot, just to show you it can be done. And hopefully, along the way, you'll pick up some good tips and tricks on how to run your games or maybe how to play them. That's one of the best ways to get a handle on GMing, of course, is to play games as well and playing other people's games, which is why we have a rotating GM chair. But for today, I'm going to be your GM, as I have been for the rest of Odyssey, and will continue to be. And with me, I have 4 glorious players, which I'll get to introduce themselves. So can we start, please, with Guy Milner?
Hello, yes, I'm Guy from the Burn After Running blog and the other half of the Unconventional GMs thing. I've just realised we should probably tell people to like and subscribe. That's the thing you do on YouTube, isn't it? So, yeah, do that if you haven't already.
Mash the button graphic or something.
yeah, just imagine that on there, yeah. So like and subscribe. So I blog at Burn After Running and do this and run lots of convention games and loads of other stuff as well around gaming. Today I am playing Jeremy St. John. Foppish, Oxford graduate, took ages to do his doctorate, always in the shadow of his far more successful academically father, Jeremy St. John Sr., who is, hoping to get some fame and fortune for himself. That's me.
Lovely. Next we'll go to Matt Wycraft, please.
Hi, I'm Matt, long-term GM and gamer. I don't have a podcast, but I will remind you all to like and subscribe. I think we should all do that lots and lots and lots. Today I'm playing Elsa Carson, a specialist in shipwrecks and maritime history, who is still probably suffering a level of PTSD after the last adventure, where she became terrified from what lied beneath the depths.
Beautiful stuff. Then we have Alex White.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm playing Hitesh Kapoor today. Hitesh is a man who's studied at the University of Calcutta and was discovered by Fairbanks, our mentor, for his work on deep sea caves, something he's still particularly interested in. But also recently he's begun to get involved in a number of political causes related to the ocean and man's possible pollution and plundering of it. Also somewhat traumatized from the last session, but Hitesh is raring to go and get back into the sea.
This is not necessarily a traumatic game, I should point out for viewers in case you're getting nervous. It's just players have their own takes on it. And finally, we have Ian McAllister.
Hi, I'm Ian McAllister from The Giant Brain, and I run the Brainwaves podcast and also a podcast called Cult of the Old, looking at older board games. I am playing Douglas McIntosh, and I had a great session last time. Everything was fine. Everything went really, really well for Douglas. He even came back together with his brother, who was his rival, but I'm sure someone else will come out of the woodwork. Douglas is an underwater cryptozoologist, particularly interested in all sorts of weirdness under the sea, and looking forward to meeting some new and wonderful creatures in this session.
Oh, hashtag no spoilers. Who knows what you might need. So yeah, it behooves me to mention that I am one half of the What Would the Smart Party Do podcast as well. So if you want more top gaming tips, tricks and interviews with industry luminaries, go over to whatwouldthesmartpartydo.com. But enough of all this relentless self-promotion. Let's get on with the game. So we finished just on the session last time. We'd had the mission, the adventure, and then we cut there. So we need to do some in-between bits that happen in between adventures. And in this game, 1d6 years pass between every session that you have. So can someone roll a d6 for me? And we'll see how many years have passed, and then we'll go through the little bits and pieces we need to do.
This is the thing where all of us or none of us roll it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're waiting pages to see if we can outlast.
Yeah.
And then we all get to it,
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to take the last one because I feel like last time we only had 1 year and I feel we need more of a progress. So let's go for 6 years have passed since that traumatic or happy event, depending on the character's point of view. So in that time, you've all worked on publishing something. It might be a magazine interview, it could be articles in a scientific journal, it might be a concept album, it could be a documentary film, a literary novel, all kinds of things. But you've all published something. So I'm now going to boldly try and remember the order we did it last time and go for Guy, Matt, Alex, and Ian. If you can tell us what published works you've done.
In the 6 years, Jeremy has published little of academic interest, but his cookbook, Blue Pearl Reef Barbecue, has been a runaway success. Co-authored with Gaz Taylor, the fisherman that we rescued last time. It's noted for its large number of barbecue recipes. There's a whole section on crab musk and substitutions that you can find for it in your shop. But yeah, that's what he's written, and done various sort of like cookery tours and maybe Iron Chef judging and so on as the like fourth member of the panel. So yeah, he's a little bit rusty with his academia at the moment.
Very good.
So after the traumatic events of our last exploration, Elsa actually took some time out, back to Sweden, spent time with the family, brought up her children for a few years, really kind of disappeared off the scene, became even disconnected with Hitesh, and didn't attend any political rallies or anything like that. Just disappeared, absolutely disappeared. And then about 4 years later, it was found out that she was writing a memoirs, and that was recently published in a few medical journals and actually maritime journals. Megalohydra and Shipwreck Exploration, a self-study of fear, which was a sort of very much a personal journal of our own story, our own journey through dealing with underwater exploration and that sort of fear, fear of the creatures that are down there and fear of objects underneath the water. And that seems to have kind of brought her out of this, and now she's ready to quite literally dip her toe in the water once more with her old colleagues.
Lovely stuff.
Hitesh spent a long time actually. Spent years working on his latest his latest book. Obi, the old guy from our previous session who joined the crew, and him went on a journey together without the benefit of the cruise ship. They had to kind of hitchhike and stow away on various boats to complete a work about native peoples who sort of live in coastal areas, the knowledge they have of the ocean and how it is often sort of trampled over by sometimes well-meaning, sometimes not so well-meaning explorers from all over the world. And he documented that. That took several years for all the travel that he did, various misadventures with Obi. And then there was something of a legal battle when the first publisher published it in a chopped up form as more of a travel log than a political work. But finally, the actual version is out there, and he feels like that in and of itself has been his own Odyssey. So he's just sort of been recovering from his journeys writing and legal battle.
Lovely stuff. And how about our Scotsman?
So Andrew's come back together with his brother after the last session, and they bonded over the years. Their father's funeral happened as well. He's written a book with Andrew called Above and Below, talking about how talking to the local civilizations can help you with your underwater research and help sort of local knowledge and sort of that kind of thing. Sort of approaching sort of underwater research from a cultural perspective as well, and that's been very well received. Unfortunately, out of the woodwork. During his father's funeral, it turned out that they both have a half sister in a lady named Abigail Dalgetty, who is a debunker of cryptozoology. She's a skeptic, quite prolific, and she sort of has followed them over the last few years, debunking any of their research, publishing articles in prolific journals that they don't have access to, and she's become quite a thorn in their side.
That sounds terrifying for an academic. I can't imagine anything worse. Okay, excellent stuff. So we've got a reflection period. If you want, I'm skipping over virtues for people who know the game. We'll not worry about that. That's just something for an end of game epithet, which we'll dispense with for the purposes of this run. So you've got reflection, which is what is your epithet in Agona, which is your research here. So if you think like you've got another field of research you've now transmogrified to, or your original one's changed, you can do that now. But I'll leave that up to people to do.
I think we're going to stick.
Everybody seems quite happy. Okay, we'll skip quickly on then to Fellowship. So this is like a gun as well, where Each of you will ask one of the others a question about their character's character, and from that you each gain a bond with each other. So every time you ask a question or answer it, you get a bond. And if you can go around in a nice circle, it could be whichever order you want, but stick to the original one if you like. You'll all end up with 2 bonds, and we'll have some lovely narration about various people's characters and their insights. So we'll start with you, Guy. Who do you want to ask a question of?
I think there's a catch up over whiskey with Douglas as we're preparing to sort of go out at the end, and I'll be saying it's quite the adventure last time, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yes.
Oh boy.
I enjoyed myself quite immensely. It was a fascinating adventure. Brought back together with my brother. The book obviously has done very well out of it. I mean, obviously Abigail's causing some problems, but I enjoyed the adventure much. I mean, you must have enjoyed it yourself. I mean, you seem to be having a whale of a time being attached to the end of a submarine and being shot around the oceans.
Yeah. I mean, even with that, the taste of those king crab legs from the barbecue will stay with me till the end of my life.
You become quite the foodie. I mean, are you planning to open a restaurant?
Oh no! That's not for me. I'm an academic, of course. Looks around shiftily. I'm just a bit concerned, Douglas, about our fellows, Hitesh and Elsa. Do you think they're up to this sort of thing? They seem quite beside themselves at the end. I'm not sure they had as much fun as we did, old boy.
They did have some issues for sure. I'm particularly worried about Elsa. I mean, we went over her performance review. Obviously, her performance wasn't excellent. She's a new member of the crew. I do worry that she's not integrating as well as she might. But we have to give everyone a chance, of course. And yeah, maybe she'll prove herself on our next great adventure.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, Bubbles proved himself last time, didn't he? And I thought he was useless before.
Yeah, I never understood your propensity for a hatred of dolphins, but I'm glad you've come around to them. They're excellent chaps.
Indeed. Well, we'll all be together soon, won't we? And setting sail again.
Indeed. Cheers.
Cool. We'll get a bond with each other, and Douglas, you can ask another character a question.
Hitesh, I don't know a huge amount about the political causes you're advocating for. Can you tell me a little bit about them? I find myself more interested in the sort of cultural connection between what our research and the people around the islands that we are on.
Well, it's good that you should lead with that, my friend, because the two things, I'm afraid, are inextricably linked.
Excellent.
One thing I've learned since I left when I was at the university, I obviously believed in science for its own sake, in the sort of the pure objective reasoning that could sort of get us to the truth. Unfortunately, I've learned that that always has to take place within the context of other human beings, and I'm afraid that's where the sort of politics comes in. I agree with you, and I think it's interesting that we published our works independently of each other. I don't know if you've had a chance to read my book yet, but
I have. Fascinating, excellent work.
Exactly, and as I'm sure you noticed as I did, our work shares a lot of the same insights, albeit from different angles. The issue, of course, and where the politics that you allude to come in, is that these indigenous peoples are often the sort of victims of invading forces, whether that be military or whether that sometimes be explorers, and that knowledge can therefore get lost. The reason that, unfortunately, I've been pulled into politics, originally coming from the perspective of a scientist, is that we're subject to human forces as well as to natural ones. And we need to be aware of that and not let ourselves, like some of our rivals, kind of get pulled within a system that will trample over knowledge instead of exploring. I hope I've explained this well, my friend. It is a complicated issue.
Absolutely. I mean, I would much rather go back into the ocean with a leopard shark than go into politics, quite frankly. I applaud your bravery.
Yes, I don't think you'll see me up in the Houses of Parliament anytime soon for any reason other than for protest.
Oh, I will join you.
Because it is a cutthroat world, certainly. Have you seen Elsa around? There's a part of me that worries whether she's going to return to our ship. It's been a long time.
I think she has come on board. I think she's avoided me a little bit after our sort of chat about how she did on the last adventure, and I haven't really had much contact with her over the last couple of years. So, yeah, I just haven't seen her very much. I hope she doesn't see me too harshly.
Yes, I will. I'll go and seek her out. Perhaps she'll be in the research library.
Perhaps.
And I will indeed, 'go and find Elsa. Yes, I imagine that, yeah, if it makes sense to you, I'll find you sort of sequestered somewhere in the research library in one of the various nooks and crannies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I say, Elsa, my friend, it's been such a long time.
Too long. Yes. Sorry, Hitesh. I'm sorry I fell out of contact with you. How are things? Yes. It's been a busy few years, for sure.
Well, yes, and it feels like the only contact I've had with you has been through your book. I'm afraid that I won't try to pronounce the full title.
Yeah, indeed, yes. Did you read it? Did you enjoy it?
I certainly read it, and well, enjoy is a strange word, isn't it? Because I found it at times, a challenging read. I think that mix of the personal and the scientific, I've never read anything like it before. I think myself and the other members of this vessel sort of try to step outside of our work when we present it, but you present a perspective in which your psychology is intimately linked with your discoveries. That must be challenging to. It must have been difficult to have to go over your fear again for the purposes of writing it down. Did that help you come to terms with it?
It was the only way I could. It was very much a cathartic experience for me, and I hope it connects with other people that have an enjoyment of exploration of the depths, and yet have that fear. I don't feel like I have that fear anymore. I have another fear of failure. I'll never forget what Jeremy said to me after we got back, and I'm now generally worried that the crew see my value even less than that of a dolphin right now. I feel I need to prove myself, and I need to get back out there. Maybe I should speak to Douglas about it. I know that he will always have something to say on the subject. But Hitesh, thank you so much for reaching out, and I appreciate that you read the book as well and it connected with you. Somehow that doesn't surprise me, and I feel that of all the crew, you understand me best. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And please, don't be too hard on yourself. I think your book is a success that you can start to build on as we go out onto the ocean.
I certainly hope so. I'm looking to write more journals on a sort of personal level, and hopefully that will help people connect more with the sea.
It is our mission. Hitesh is a little embarrassed and finds something to tidy up in the research library.
I will take my time about it, but ultimately hunt down Douglas, bringing in a copy of his recipe book, and ask. So,
I don't have a recipe book.
Oh, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
I mean, if you want to attribute it to me, I'm fine with that.
Actually, Elsa probably would go, oh, it's not your book. Sorry, you're right. Speak to the other chap. So, Jeremy, how did you become inspired to write the recipe book, and is the plan to go out and find more ingredients now?
Well, it was just that barbecue was excellent, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic, like nothing I'd ever heard. And then it turned out Gaz, terrible fisherman, great chef. So, I mean, most of the recipes
he
were
was
his.
The one whose boat yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, that was why he was a terrible fisherman, really. His boat was never really the same after, yeah. But yeah, so just thought I'd do it. We can't all study the sea all our life. You need a few other strings to your bow. Your book was must have done well for you, though.
Somewhat niche. I'm not quite sure I got the title right, to be honest. As Hitesh just reminded me.
I met a guy in London last night. He's a film director, and I think that would be excellent footage. He does those sort of, what a fantastic horror film that would be.
Oh my! I suppose it would be. Yes, I'm not really into that genre of.
Who do you think would play you, Elsa?
Oh, I'd need to think about it. I'm not very good. I spend most of my time reading books rather than watching films. I couldn't even name any actresses that are big at the moment, or even, I guess, those that aren't. Who would you want for you?
Oh, I would play myself, obviously. I've been looking at, as I said, other strings to our bow, and I've been looking at other careers. We've all been in front of the camera quite a bit with what Douglas is bringing along. In fact, we should make some sort of documentary of our voyage next. Actually, it should be it's a ripping yarn when we go out on the boat, isn't it?
documentary. Oh right, okay. I suppose we could. Let me give that some thought for sure. And I'm looking forward to getting back in the water.
Yeah, it'll be great. You'll be fine. There'll be like a sort of awkward slap on the shoulder from Jeremy.
And I'll kind of briefly go, could you autograph this for my husband? I'll say to the book as a way of diverting the conversation away from the idea of a documentary, and then quickly leave.
yeah.
Excellent stuff. And you start to make your presentations. Elsa finds, in fact, or we see her pull out got like a long scroll case, I guess, called a map case, and it is in fact the map to a sunken vessel that she's found, and that's going to be the source of your next voyage, or at least there's lots of US Navy activity around it, so there's something going on there, and that's what you've concerned yourselves with. So very shortly we'll have a competition to see who's going to be the leader for that particular mission, but we go through wibbly wobbly time again and go back into your memoirs now. So we just need to roll for an event that's happened over the last 6 years, which the characters don't know about yet, or the players certainly don't, and we're going to get them to tell us what in fact is going on. So is anybody over the age of 34 yet? Oh right, okay, well we'll save you two for last then. So the youngsters still then, who are under 34, can you roll a d12 for me please?
Is it a D12?
D12, yeah.
Sorry. My character's now older than me. He wasn't when we started this game.
Okay, so is that 3 for you, Ian?
Yeah, 3, yeah.
Because it's not got any name attached to it. Okay, you became a minor celebrity, so you need to tell us what caused your 15 minutes of fame and how you feel about it.
It must be the book I wrote with my brother Andrew, to sort of got the zeitgeist, got on Good Morning, that kind of thing for a little while. Did the morning shows, but it wasn't like... It's still quite an academic work, so it was just a bit of a flash in the pan kind of thing. I got a taste for it. I did get a taste for it, and now I'm thinking like Jeremy and I have been talking about documentaries, and like maybe we could get our word out there a bit more, putting together something. So yeah, definitely thinking about the fame angle a little bit more. Slightly starstruck.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that your brother Andrew's better looking than you are in this game.
Yeah, the cameras, whenever we were on set together, the cameras on him more than me.
But you have a taste for it, okay. And Hitesh, you had a relationship bloom with a significant other. So who was that, and what was the nature of that relationship?
When I was in Australia, I had a sort of sadly quite short-lived love affair with a lady I met out there called Marnie, and sort of our love bloomed bright. And I tried to get her to come back to England with me and then join our crew, but she had to sort of take care of her family. She had too many responsibilities, and so I had to sort of leave her there at the docks. Feeling heartbroken, but also sort of reflecting on the fact that I am very lucky to have very few attachments, to be able to go out and sail on the seas. And I still write to her, but I haven't heard anything back yet, possibly because who knows if she's moved on and if I'm even going to be able to ever reach her again.
Lovely stuff. Okay, can the other two slightly older characters make a roll for me, please? Okay, Jeremy, you went on an adventure by yourself and published a successful work. What was that adventure, and what did you publish? This may be before or after the famous cook tour you did with Gaz.
I think it possibly is. It was an attempt. There was some money to make a sort of cookery show of. I think it was called a shrimp in every port, where me and Gaz went round like various places, but it all sort of fell through. It was financed badly, so it ended up being far more sort of like the Anthony Bourdain documentaries, but when everything goes wrong, and it really does go wrong, and yeah, it had to sort of slink back to the UK, in the course of which all the film that was made of us, the like one remaining case of like the first 2 episodes that we're trying to save, we watched that like float away somewhere in the North Sea as our ship capsized. So yeah, a prawn in every port, never to be released. Ill-fated cookery documentary.
Okay, a prawn every port was the European version. A shrimp in every port was the American version, presumably.
Yeah.
Slightly different working title. Excellent. And then Elsa, you had some kind of midlife crisis which changed up your life, or you changed up your life in a dramatic way. What did you cut from your life, and what affections did you pick up?
So I think the trauma over the last 6 years, and then my throwing myself fully into the writing of this book, caused my marriage to break down. I had 2 young children, became really obsessed with turning my own life around, my professional life around, and although I was looking after my children, my relationship with my husband really started to become strained. And it's since we are not divorced, but we are estranged right now. My mother is looking after my kids when I'm away, and my husband is essentially doing his own thing. We still connect, but it's quite clear that our relationship is probably not going to recover fully. Will we remain friends? Only time will tell. But right now, I need to be focused on getting my life back together, and somewhat selfishly, there doesn't appear to be a place for him in it.
Oh well. What can we do? We'll not bother naming him.
Might be short-lived. Yeah.
It sounds like he hasn't got a place in this story. Excellent stuff. So what we would normally do is roll for some rival things that have happened as well, but I think we've spent enough time doing backstory right now. I'm conscious of time and I want to crack on with a new ocean-going adventure, so we're just going to skip right to that, but that's just to inform you watching at home that there is an extra little step you can do there if you want to, but I can do that privately and introduce things as and when if I shall choose. Okay, so you're on your way across the oceans to the location of what you think might be a wreck. You're not sure, it's quite vague, this document that you've been given. You're aware that there's US Navy activity in the area. It's in the southern hemisphere. It's near the Tonga Trench, which is the deepest in the southern hemisphere, and after the Mariana Trench is the deepest place that there is on Earth, frankly. But as you're getting close, the weather is particularly inclement. The crew are getting very nervous. Daniel has changed somewhat. He used to have like a little wispy pencil thin moustache, and now your young protege has kind of a goatee that comes to a waxed point and like little twists to the side, and he doesn't seem quite as dark as before. There's something brooding about him, but he's filled out a bit, and well, of all genders, the other interns seem to find him very alluring all of a sudden. He's just got deep waters about him, so he's trying to organise all the new interns that you've got, as you get a new intake every time you go out, to strap things down, to do everything that should be done when a storm approaches, but they all seem quite lost at sea, quite literally. So some of them running around with their arms in the air, crates come off and sliding across deck, possibly with precious equipment, you're not sure as it goes past your cabins towards the back of the vessel, and you're tossed around like a toy, almost like in a pool with a wave machine or something like that. So what do you all do to gain control of your vessel, save your interns, and otherwise make sure that this expedition doesn't end in disaster before it's even started?
Douglas is going to use his newfound determination to just sort of like shout above the waves and like sort of push Daniel out of the way and sort of take charge of the situation, get everything sort of organised and shipshape.
Elsa recognises some of these interns are absolutely terrified, and she's going to engage with them, use empathy, and basically take them out of the situation a little bit, get them to calm down, and get them to become a little more coordinated.
Jeremy's dons his tartan sou'wester and waterproof clobber, and is just chipping in with the rest of them, these interns, just to teach them that we all have to chip in at sea, and hauling ropes to tie down our cargo to keep it all safe.
I think Hitesh is going to try and sort of lead by example. Doesn't seem like anybody else might be steering the ship at this point, so I think Hitesh is trying to steer the ship, and he's also sending off Obi to make little adjustments around the engine or plug up little leaks and things. So he's kind of his number 2.
Excellent stuff. Okay, I'll roll a target number for you. So it's going to be 4 as a target number for this challenge.
Okay, do we just roll now?
Everybody just roll. Sorry. I thought it was implicit, but let's make it explicit so everybody at home knows what we're doing as well.
Every single one of us roll 11.
That's quite consistent, isn't it?
Everybody's rolled 11. Okay, so you're all going to need to roll your name die to see who's actually best. Because at the minute you're working like a well-oiled machine, but someone needs to come out on top.
It's not us, Matt.
Okay,
I'm just glad I succeeded, to you.
Hitesh is going to get 4 glory. The rest of you get 2, and Hitesh will be the leader nominally for the expedition about to come across. Do we need any more description around that? I think you will describe fairly what you're doing. It's just a leadership contest. We can get to more juicy things a bit later. So,
just a quick thing. Sorry,
go for it. Yeah, sure.
Since I was the highest, can I just say that it's actually kind of Obi who ends up somehow saving the day. I think there's an intern who's going to topple over the side because he's kind of got forgotten, and Obi catches him, and the old timer and the young new terrified intern look into each other's eyes. Maybe the intern realizes that he's going to be looked after.
Excellent. Yeah, and as you get through the storm to your coordinates, you think you noted a US Navy frigate at one point during the bouncing about, but it seems to have disappeared into the storm somewhere. So for now, you've reached your geospatial coordinates. Well, this is kind of set in the 1960s, so you might not even have geospatial coordinates, but whatever method it is that you use for knowing where you are in the wide open sea, you think you found
stars and
That's
stuff.
right.
We're here.
Yeah, and bobbing about, you realise that there's probably 300 or 400 meters you need to go down to have a look at the lip of the. You obviously aren't going down into the full depths of the trench, or there's nothing there but round worms and crushing pressure and blackness. So there should be something that's saved on the lip of that trench, if you will, but it's going to involve going down into the dark depths. So are you taking your Titan submarine, or is there any preparations you need to make, or anything you need to say or do, or are you just going to plunge down there and see what's what?
I wonder if we should just go in suits instead of the submarine, because there might be, who knows what could hit or damage the submarine while we're down there. So maybe we should all
would
just...
it make more sense for the submarine to get hit than us?
Maybe.
You can take the suits on the submarine, I imagine.
Yeah, sure.
I'm kind of a view of taking both. Protecting myself by 2 layers.
I should have ticked 3 new things, shouldn't I? Yeah. Go.
Sorry, I might have failed to say that out loud as well. But yeah, you should have specialty gear and training. You've got 3 new ones. So clear the old ones. You've got 3 new ones if you want.
Yeah, I haven't taken extra vehicle this time. If that changes our equipment, what we have.
So it sounds like then you haven't got your propulsion units, because you've got a submarine and suits. So that's it.
Well, that's all we need for going this deep, anyway.
Absolutely. Can't imagine you'll need anything else. Excellent. And have we got any of our cast of NPCs with us? Have we got Daniel, Obi, Gaz, Taylor, some new person that we've not met yet?
Well, Bubbles can sort of help us scour the area, right?
Well, to a certain degree, but Bubbles doesn't want to go 400 metres down.
Fair enough.
I think it's Daniel drives, pilots the sub, doesn't he? He's we'll not get him off the tiller of that. He'll be well up for that.
And we want to keep an eye on him anyway, so yeah, he's the guy.
Okay, so I think I'm going to have to say that because Daniel's coming, there's definitely a young man and a young lady who won't leave his side, who are besotted with him, who are kind of squidged in that cupola bit at the front. So when the camera's outside looking in, you can see him driving or looking all debonair, and then these 2 little faces kind of pressed in near him as well, as they watch what happens. Okay, you start to descend into the depths, which start a greeny blue, with the fat, pregnant grey clouds above you pattering the top of the water. But as you go underneath, that soon recedes and things become darker, and your halogen lamps come on all around the sub, lighting the place up, almost like you're a beacon in the darkness for anything that might be interested in such things. But surely there's nothing out here in the middle of nowhere. And as you go down and down, you think you spot. Then you're sure, yes, there's something down there on that lip of the trench. It's some kind of base, perhaps. And you can see stenciled on the side, in probably quite large letters, given that you can actually recognise it from a distance away, Sealab 4. You've heard of this. It's an experimental underwater habitat developed by the United States Navy on the Tonga Trench. But something seems amiss. As you look at it, you can see that there's like two bulbous, modular kind of like living quarters or whatever they are, the research bits, and they were connected by some kind of central piece that is no longer there, which is ripped and torn and open to the water. And as you're descending down and your light plays across this scene, you hear a hail over the radio, and Daniel flips the switch. An American voice comes over saying, "Well, hello there. This is Captain Virgil Holloway. We're commanders. I'm the commander. You're not commander." And you hear him shoving someone in the background. I'm commander of Sealab 4, and I invite you to dock on the port side wing. Please come on in, get some real southern hospitality. And as he's doing that, Daniel points off to one side. You notice on the starboard module, there's a blinking red light that's flashing away that says, in Morse code, port side cannot be trusted, and just keeps repeating it over and over and over again. What do you want to do? Because as you're making a decision, there's an extra thing. I'm going to throw more in there. Something that bashes against the side of your sub, and you see the translucent tentacles of some huge mutated colossal devil squid. Some kind of cross between a giant squid and a devilfish, which is a bit like a manta ray in kind of same. So it's all needle teeth and tentacles flapping about the place. And it seems to have spotted your lights and wants you as a tasty morsel. So you're going to have to make a decision quite quickly. Are you going to try and force your way past to get to Captain Holloway on the port side? Or are you going to try and evade it with finesse and maybe dock at the starboard side? Or something completely different? What do you want to do?
Douglas is getting out his camera to take footage of the sea creature. Kind of ignoring the threat initially. Well, you guys decide. I don't mind shooting out the windows.
So we go to the starboard side. There's something strange about that radio communication. Let's just get down there quickly. Someone desperate enough to send us some Morse code. They must want us to go that side.
Yes, I agree. I don't trust the US Army one little bit.
Look at those tentacles.
Let's rather not. Let's just go quickly.
At least someone will be happy if we're all crushed to death by them.
Yeah.
Its mouth is huge.
Yes, let's go and get a closer look.
Excellent stuff. Daniel had already got a coin out of his pocket, asking the interns heads or tails, and they both said whatever you want, which didn't help the situation at all. So it sounds like you, especially if you're trying to avoid immediately upsetting the US Navy, you're going to have to use subtlety to get past the mutated colossal devil squid and sneak over to the starboard without giving away that's where you're heading straight away. So I need to roll a target number for you, and you can all decide what you're doing to help with that. This is going to be Amber Alert. So if you fail, you take a point of pressure. If you've not done so already, you've cleared all pressure from last session, but you keep your barotrauma, right? I just assumed you all knew that, but I'll make it explicit again. Okay, let's roll these dice. And we're making it subtlety. Target number of 11.
Wow. So I'm going to take advantage of obviously using my subtlety to sneak around, but also I did manage to acquire some maps and charts of this trench prior to our departure, so I'm going to tag those as my equipment.
Douglas is effectively studying the squid as it goes past, trying to look for like maybe sort of a gap or a weak point that we can sort of sneak through where it's like tentacles and its feelers won't feel the sub. He's basically doing that through a camera, but that's effectively what he's doing.
Elsa's definitely going to help out with this one, basically using the sensors. She's done some awareness training, did one of those kind of sandwich courses to become more aware of what's going on around her after that, hitting it in the boat the last time. And she also knows how to navigate close to shipwrecks without damaging them, so quite subtle and carefully using the seabed. So she's going to do the same so we can get closer to the base.
I'm calling on my research since we are navigating through a deep sea cave, and I'm marking a pressure to call upon determination to just plow straight through the squid. If we go fast enough, then we're more of a danger to it than it is to us. That's my philosophy.
Oh, sounds good. And I'll remind you all that you've all got an advantage dice to use at some point if you want from your memoir this time. So if there's something related to what you narrated for your memoir, just keep that in your back pocket for a challenge if you want to bring in some extra dice. Okay, let's roll.
I'm bringing Curiosity and my underwater cryptozoology as well.
Awareness training.
Oh,
We're all doing well at rolling different numbers for starters. That's one good thing.
Oh. Pull it out of the bag.
Okay, he was looking ropey for a minute there. We'll go for, I think, 11 glory is for Elsa, 1 for everybody else, and all the rest of you take a pressure as well because it was an Amber Alert challenge. So it's getting hairy. First, we'll discuss what Douglas did, then Jeremy, then Hitesh, and then Elsa saves the day. So, Douglas, how does your camera work not help the situation?
Douglas just doesn't do anything. He's just pointing the camera out the window, doesn't say anything to anyone, just gets involved in the camera work until Daniel sort of hits and goes, "What do you want to do? Hello?" Just lost in it.
Excellent. Yeah, Daniel's saying "Oh, it's not up to me, is it? It's up to you people." But fate will guide us, I'm sure. And there's a polite golf clap from the interns next to him for his astounding words, as they see it anyway. Jeremy.
So Jeremy gets out the charts that he's acquired of this area. I think in the sort of the sort of bubble at the front of the sub where Daniel is going up there, he said, "Look, there's if we duck behind there at starboard, we can do it." And from the outside, you just see these charts unfolded and all over, blocking everyone's vision as no one can see it as he's going starboard. No port, no port. As he points towards a big grayed out area on the chart, because obviously there's a secret base here, so it's not on the things that he's done. As Daniel's just kind of turning this way and that and trying to get rid of the charts that he spread out to try and help.
He said larboard, no, he said starboard. How said the interns helpfully as all this is going on.
Yeah, left, whichever one that is. Left,
you're the left, yeah. Okay, Hitesh.
Hitesh thinks he can pull everybody out of this muddle by kind of suddenly picking up speed and kind of going towards one of the sort of sides of the trench so that the squid won't be able to reach us. But he pulls close and then realizes that this trench is kind of coming at him closer than he thought, and he has to pull the ship back round into the squid's kind of grasps just to avoid a crash, realizing that they're sort of way into the belly of the beast. And he says, "Elsa, do something."
Elsa sort of had been looking at the sensors, trying to avoid all the maps, which seem to be stuck everywhere. Thanks, by the way, for that. And then reaches forward and goes, "Move!" and just sort of shoves his head out of the way, and just turns the sub so that we dip into the contours of the side of the top of the trench, in amongst what vegetation there is, and we sort of glide forward. This thing over the top of us, having lost us for now, and then we come out close to the starboard side, and I kind of sit back over to you, Hitesh, and I kind of give him a squeeze on the shoulder and a smile, apologetic that I've kind of thrown him out of the way momentarily, and I sit back, but there's a gleam of kind of triumph where I finally feel like I've made a difference here.
Wonderful. And a difference indeed you have made. You skip past the portside module with the US Navy sigils all over it, and you can see little faces pressed against portholes watching you that seem to be smiling at first when they think you're coming towards them, and as you go past, turn to frowny faces. And it's almost, you're not quite sure, you think you see someone look and loading a gun or something in the background, but that's probably just your imagination and bias against perfectly normal, nice Navy people. And with that, you can dock with the starboard side, or the starboard wing, I guess we'll call it, of Sealab 4. You bolt yourselves to it, or get some kind of tubage, and release the airlocks, and can all head across. I presume well, I won't presume, I'll ask you. That's the right way to GM games, isn't it? Are you wearing your big suits? Are you taking any special equipment? Or are you just going to head across like normal everyday people?
I think I'm going to wear the suit but take the helmet off, so just take it out and carry it so I can put it on if I need to, but I don't rely on the bubble, as it were.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I'll get suited up.
Elsa's got the right idea.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I do have some camera gear with me, just in case.
Yeah, I'll take that as read for this crew.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. You're always recording, always be streaming. Okay, you get through the initial airlock as it's open from the other side, and there's the hiss of gases and such as the pressure equalises. There's quite a pungent smell comes from the other side, almost as if the air's been recycled too many times and there's not been enough new stuff through. But probably from their point of view, there's a nice fresh breeze comes.
I'll turn to the others and come out and goes, I think we should secure the sub just in case. If they've recycled air, It may well be that there might be someone wants to sabotage or get off this place. I'm not saying that we should not help people get off, but we should make sure that we have that decision, not theirs.
I mean, they'll never get
agree.
past Daniel, will they?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure Daniel's always on our side.
I think it really depends how big their wallet is.
How much their adoration is.
That too, yeah. I'm just thinking that we should be, or at least advise everybody not to let anybody else other than us on there, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just a little worried that with the army down here, that things could go south. Anyway.
Let's try not to cause some kind of international incident.
Okay, you're kind of having this discussion in the airlock with kind of like a fisheye lens camera view above a view, kind of like talking amongst yourselves. Definitely nobody's watching this on the other side. It's just for the viewers at home. And as the internal door opens and you can go all the way in, you notice it's decked out in lovely pastel blue colours. The air's quite warm, even though it's stale and obviously recycled. There's a wall of small screens about, some of them that have gone black, others that are a bit hazy, some showing outside bits that seem to be just blackness with like a white spear of torchlight across them. Lots of metal crates, freeze-dried rations around, lots of open crates that seem to have been emptied out, and half like Frankenstein kind of devices where like server stacks have been ripped apart to make a new one and things like that. So there's obviously like a feeling of sort of, I guess, scientific endeavour and also ingenuity going on to kind of keep the place running. So obviously the Sealab was supposed to work as a unit, and only having half of it means that there's been some compromises had to be made. But leading the delegation that you see ahead of you is a woman probably in her 50s, something like that. Olive-skinned, white coat that's a little bit stained now, but she's still trying to maintain some kind of an appearance. Hair's all up in a bun, kind of like the wingtip, sort of 60s glasses with big thick lenses, and she comes forward with a firm handshake to whoever is in the lead, which I presume is Hitesh, as he's the leader for the mission, and shakes your hand thoroughly and says, "I'm Dr. Fakola Valea. I'm so glad that you got our message and didn't go across to the incorrect part of Sealab. Thank goodness you're here. There's been terrible strife."
What seems to be the nature of the problem?
The nature of the problem is Captain Holloway, clearly. He's lost his mind. He must have gone through some kind of psychosis or some other thing. Perhaps he's got high pressure nervous syndrome or something like that. Who knows? He's lost his mind. He's got some kind of nuclear device down there in the deep caves, but it's been leaking. It's mutated the creatures. There's all kinds of weird and wonderful things coming up there, but there's a scientific solution to all this, but he won't listen. He's got some sort of plan. I think he wants to blow us all up or something. Well, there's something needs to happen.
A nuclear device?
Well, yes, it was powering the Sealab. But of course, any nuclear power can be weaponized in the wrong hands.
Of course.
If the Russians get a wind of this, then we'll have another problem to add.
And the US Army don't have any any history of weaponizing nuclear devices, do they?
No, it's purely because this one particular captain's got some kind of psychological disorder that this has happened, and not a military-industrial complex issue or anything like that.
So if we do nothing, something very bad will happen. And if he's allowed to do his plan, something very bad is also going to happen. So unless we do something, we're screwed either way.
Yeah.
What happened to the connecting bridge between the two modules?
I'm very glad you asked. It was devoured by a huge goblin shark that still seems to harass us. Any attempts we've made to connect with the other lab or to escape in any way, not that we have the equipment necessarily now, the goblin shark, it just continually harasses us, and I can't tell why. There's a thump against the side of one of the modules as you sat in it that sort of reverberates around and little bits fall off desks and stuff. It seems particularly angry. It's at this point, Hitesh, that you notice Charles Montague Beauchamp is in the background. And he's just kind of closing a door to one of the add-on modules and closing the valve. And says, "Oh, good gracious. They'll let anyone in these days." And despite the awful air, he pulls out a long cigarette, a menthol, and starts to smoke it, to much the disgust of the assembled scientists.
Beauchamp, put that out. This air's already stale enough.
I'm just adding a modicum of mintiness to the air. You don't know what it's been quite dreadful down here, with all these smelly people. And he kind of like waves his hand vaguely at everyone but himself.
You're just going to make things worse if you stay here. Why don't you go back to the surface? I'm sure you can find some surface octopi or something that's more your speed than whatever's down here. This is no time for your warmongering, Beauchamp.
I have my samples, dear boy. I must bring them with me. I may need to requisition your vehicle.
Leaking nuclear device, anybody?
Also, our vehicle's not yours to be requisitioned. Bog off.
That smells even worse than this place for a start.
Leaking nuclear device we should deal with?
I agree. What else it says? Leaking nuclear device seems a bit more pressing.
Will you keep your manservant and chef or whatever it is in good order? I can't have those people talking to me. What is this? Some kind of farmer's market?
I punch him.
Okay.
Shut it.
You punch him.
Yeah.
I think I might move to like intercept and awkwardly try and hold Douglas back.
Cool.
Which maybe results in some like wrestling around. I imagine this just makes us look even more ridiculous.
Whilst this is going, I'll be talking to the doctor and getting more information about where this device might be and what we can do, and basically ignoring the science of machoism that's taking place on the other side of the room.
Yeah,
we're knocking test tubes over.
Exactly.
A couple of the scientists and lab assistants are getting involved, and there's like, it's not worth it, Darren, leave it, and kind of like outside a kebab shop at 12 o'clock kind of feel to it. Hold me back, not really being held back by anybody and that kind of stuff. Okay, well, the good doctor's kind of like just says, you'll have to figure everybody. It's been nightmarish down here.
I would imagine. So, but what would you said that there's a scientific solution. What's your proposal, Doctor?
Well, the fauna and flora that have developed based on the leakage that we've had need to be studied. We can't be destroying them or blowing everything up. Think of the advances of medicine and stuff that could come out of this. If you can develop regenerative technologies, for example, people could regrow limbs, or perhaps we could help with all other manner of things. And she starts to like list off a whole raft of crazy solutions that might come out of it. But blowing everything up, I mean, let alone that we may die. What if this part of the shelf collapses into the trench, and like who knows what ecological damage could be done?
I agree. So you're saying that we need to study the creatures and stop Holloway from destroying us all?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm not even sure in that order necessarily.
I definitely think that the other way around is probably the right way around, I'm sure. So I'll look around to the others who hopefully by now have picked themselves up, dressed and sort of cleaned themselves off a bit, and are looking a little bit sheepish about their explosion of violence just a few moments ago. So how do we stop a nuclear explosion? Anyone?
Well, there needs to be a trigger, correct? In my vague understanding of these devices, if we can maybe disable that, then it's merely just leaking, and then it can be retrieved by maybe the Navy above us.
Yeah, we dive down in our suits and then cut the red. It's usually the red wire, isn't it? Or blue sometimes. It's blue that one time.
I'm sort of like leaning Jeremy's ears. Like, I think you've watched too many films, maybe. I'm not sure that's correct as the films.
Documentaries.
Okay.
We watched
that's all right then. Sorry, I'm sorry
right?
to question you.
I'll look around at Hitesh for some sense of semblance of pragmatism. Please, Hitesh, what do you think we should do?
Well, yeah, I think certainly I think we can diffuse this thing as long as we take it apart in the correct order. I think we might have a book or two on this in the research library aboard the sub. The other possibility I was considering is whether we could just send the device into the ocean with enough velocity such that the pressure would sort of crush it. That might be even riskier than trying to diffuse it, however.
If it's leaking and it's mutating these creatures, surely sending it deeper, who knows what will be affected down there? Who knows where it will get into the currents of the oceans? Surely we cannot do that.
I think we can probably take it apart. I think if we all get close enough to it, we should be able to sort of figure it out by looking at it. Like I say, Fairbanks, we watched him do a similar thing once.
Yeah.
Just improvisation.
We're going to improvise disabling a nuclear device. Okay, fine, let's do that. That'll make the subject of a good book.
Fascinating documentary.
I guess so. I looked at Doctor. Do you have any experts or perhaps schematics of it that you could lend us, or there must be something in here that we could use?
I mean, we've used most of our resources to stay alive, quite frankly. The schematics were classified. They would be in the other module with Captain Holloway. I'm sure he has extensive documentation about the nuclear battery.
We can't really risk that, can we? What do you think, Hitesh?
I think we're taking more of a risk if we don't go and find out some more information about this device, I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, as you wish. I just think we need to do whatever it is we do. We need to do it quickly.
We've already won one fist fight, as far as I would call it. So I think we're on a roll.
Definitely won that fist fight. Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, good. I guess that means we're halfway there. If we've won a fist fight, just the other one.
What can possibly go wrong? Can I punch the nuclear device?
Doctor, do you know how many men Holloway has? What are we up against here?
Well, they all look very similar. Same haircut, same height, same uniform. Don't know. One looks the same as the other. Really, it's almost like he's got a clone army over there. She says.
Is there perhaps a more subtle way in than just through the front door?
There'll be escape hatches and stuff. Maybe you could reverse engineer them. I don't know.
Is there a moon pool?
There is not a moon pool. No. The pressure down here is too great for such things.
Yeah, I did wonder whether or not that'd be the case.
Escape hatches, though. We can maybe make use of those.
Well, we could just still see if we can accept his invitation and go from there.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure I saw guys locking and loading guns when we floated past. I'm a little worried that they might try to take us prisoner and requisition our vehicle for some reason.
We could lie, butter them up, say this side are completely crazy, and we believe you, etc., etc.
I like that plan more than
that way.
breaking in.
Walk in the front door with some confidence, basically.
We're a likable bunch.
Of course.
Do that then.
That sounds like a plan.
We have a plan. We're going to go over there, ingratiate ourselves with the captain or general or whoever he is, and see if we can get schematics of the nuclear device so that we can increase our chances of success. Is that right?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, well, you all get back in your vessel, presumably leaving promises that you will rescue everybody who's down here at some point.
Of course.
And maybe leave them a few extra bits. You notice that one of the interns has got the jumper on the wrong way around now, and that Daniel's moustache is a little bit, it's a squiff and stuff. You're not sure what they're doing. Smells a bit like spider crab musk in here for some inexplicable reason. But you take the short hop across to the starboard side of the Sealab, which I guess is an independent thing now, but what was the starboard side. And as you hone in and start to lock, there's the heavy duty clamp and thump reverberations of the seabed, and it's almost like you can hear an alarm in the background or something. It's got a very sort of sci-fi movie film feel about it as the airlock starts to slowly cycle on Holloway's side of the Sealab. And there we shall take an intermission, if you will, and I shall see you all very shortly. And we're back after our glorious intermission with many great conversations you'll never get to hear, but listen to our podcast, look at the Bin After Running blog and various other things, and you can get some insights into what we may have been speaking about, or find us at a convention and buy us a pint. But enough of all that. We are in the deep sea. You're by a trench on one side that goes down many hundreds, if not thousands of meters into inky blackness. You know that somewhere down that part of the trench there is a cave system wherein lies a nuclear battery. But right now, on the lip of said trench, you are locked together with the other side of Sealab 4, with lots of US Navy decals all over it. And as the airlock cycles, you can see within. I'm presuming, unless you tell me different, that you're all the same thing. You're all in your suits, but without the helmets on, stuffed under your arm. Someone's taking camera footage. Daniel's in charge of the vessel, and we're all good. Okay, well, you see the imposing form of Captain Holloway there. He's a big, bulky man. He probably was at one stage, like I don't know, a linebacker or something, or he's got that kind of physique. Except now he's a bit older, so he's got that familiar middle-aged man punch on the front of it as well. But that does not detract from the imposing figure that he's got. He's got a buzz haircut. It's now more steel grey than perhaps the inky black it once was. And he's got a slight twitch in one of his eyes as he stares at you. They're both red-rimmed. And behind him, like in files, you notice there's aquanauts from the US Navy, all armed, of course. And they're all giving you the same sort of steely-eyed glare that their commander does. And looking you up and down, Captain Holloway extends his hand to Hitesh, who's your leader for this segment. Says, well, welcome aboard there, son. You took your sweet time.
Yes, my apologies. We were, I must confess, we've already spoken to that group of scientists who were sort of on the starboard side. They sort of browbeat us into coming to see us. They acted like there was some kind of horrible emergency, like they were seconds away from death. And then we got there and it just sounded like they just had some common workplace gripes. No sense of perspective. So, but yes, it does rather mean we've snubbed your hospitality. And if the food is cold and the drinks are warm, that's on us and no reflection on you, my good man.
Okay, he grips your hand in a steely embrace. You can almost, in your mind's eye, feel like the bones crunching together as he rubs them and drags you almost into the airlock one after the other, saying, well, you're here now, that's the important thing. And what we need to do is save America. Hooah! Shout all the Marines in unison behind him. And as you sort of file through a narrow corridor in this, it's kind of got a sort of pastel-y yellow colour here. The air's a little cooler. There's a tang to it that you can't quite place, but you can feel it scratching at the back of your throat, almost like maybe the oxygen scrubbers aren't doing what they're supposed to do, or there's some of the leakage, perhaps. But as you're pushed past all these great specimens of physicality, say, right, well, what we need you to do is help us go down there, and what we're going to do is we're going to overcharge the nuclear battery, and that will nuke all those goddamn commie devilfish. Hooah! Shout all the Marines, start thumping the sides, so there's an echo around the whole chamber.
Comfortable.
Sounds like
Okay.
Sounds like an excellent idea. Can you show us maybe we can help out? Could we see some of the plans and sort of like help you out in some way or form? Lend our years of expertise to your expedition?
Yes, we don't want to blunder into this thing. And yes, we are, as you may or may not know, affiliated with the nation of Great Britain. That is where our sub is docked. And so, yes, we have the good understanding of technology that our capitalist countries have. So, yes, we'll be able to coordinate most perfectly on this, provided, of course, that, yes, we can see some of the plans and know what we're working with.
Perhaps we can discuss them over this fine bottle of whiskey.
Great Britain? My God, you leak worse than a colander. Whiskey? What's wrong with bourbon? Goddamn commies! Get 'em, boys! Okay, the captain doesn't seem particularly sensible, and his men seem to be ruled by an iron grip. So, what we need to know is, are you going to be able to avoid being tied up and locked in the storeroom, or is that going to be your ultimate fate? So we need a contest to work out whether you manage to do that or not. What type of contest is an interesting question. I don't think warm words are going to do it. I think it's probably going to have to be determination to really insist that you heard, because he's not listening to any livid pinkos and their nice words. So you're going to have to prove your manliness, for want of a better expression, or otherwise just struggle your way through and generally physically overcome them. So it's going to definitely be a determination challenge, and I will roll you a target number. And then you can all tell me what you're doing. So target number 14, because they are well-trained, elite aquanauts. Probably did Naval SEAL training and stuff like that. So who's doing what?
I'm relying a little bit on the warm-up fist fight that me and Douglas just had, so I'm going to spend a bond to bring that in. And
I will do the same with Jeremy. Yeah, we're going to be back to back.
I think I'm also trying to sneak off, so I'll spend a pressure to bring in subtlety to try and in the melee, even if we just need to survive this and run away, still get some shot of the plans or whatever.
We've got our diving suits on still, right? Cool. Okay. Not asking for any particular reason.
I might support Douglas on this one because I don't love my chances, and I think it's probably better to help somebody out. If you, apologies, only reminding of the rules. If I'm choosing to support, do I give my name die or do I give my domain?
You pass your domain die.
Okay, well, lucky for you, Douglas, my domain in this is a D10.
So,
Awesome.
Elsa's definitely going to get involved in this, and although it's determination, she is also going to spend a pressure to bring in curiosity because I want to find these plans, etc. Also, if I may, make reference to the life and times of Grace O'Malley, who's a female pirate that on multiple occasions got picked up by the British Navy and had to avoid capture sometimes when being taken onto their ship. So I'm going to use what I learned in that study of her activities to avoid capture on this occasion. I don't know what that means in terms of an advantage, though.
I think it means a D8.
Okay, D8's cool. I'll definitely have that.
Yeah, your name dice is a D8, is it?
My name dice is a D6.
D6, cool.
Is yours D8?
Yeah.
Oh, that's handy.
Douglas, it's kind of up to you how I'm supporting you, but potentially if you need some ideas, if you're throwing yourself at them, maybe I'm good at sneaking off and getting behind people, but it's up to you, whatever you want.
Maybe you're like, you're a distraction, or you're like getting the information we need while we're a distraction for you, basically. Something like that. We'll figure out in the narration. Cool. Douglas is just going at it. He's riled up from the little fisticuffs earlier. He's just like, yeah, come on. So a D10 from Hitesh and a D6 from Jeremy's Bond. Specialist trainer gear can bring in? No.
Roll him if you got him.
Oof. Just.
So close.
Okay, so Jeremy and Elsa are going to take a point of pressure. I forgot to say Umbrella, but I think that was implicit with the fact they're getting beaten up. So we'll go with Jeremy first, then Elsa, and then Douglas gets the glory of telling us how exactly he resolves all this. 14 glory for you as well, obviously.
And I get a glory for helping, right?
You get a glory and a bond.
Yeah.
For assisting,
I think it's that thing where you start like boxing Queensberry rules against people with guns, and almost immediately, as Jeremy tries to tackle them, he sort of nearly gets someone's rifle off them, but there's another 2 barrels in his face, and he sort of has to back down almost immediately.
Elsa makes a run for it, hoping to use the maze-like interior of the base to help avoid capture. There's an occasion where she swings at one of them with the glass bowl of her helmet and kind of wings him. That gives her freedom for a bit, and then one of them grabs her. She goes down hard, turns, kicks one of them in the face, screaming blue bloody murder by this point. However, she's not a combatant, and these are trained Marines, so it's seconds before they manage to sort of grab her, and she has to stand down, looking bruised, battered, and very angry with the situation.
Excellent. Finally, Douglas.
So we flash back to a few moments earlier, and Douglas has a quick word in Hitesh's ear to make some chloroform from all the little chemicals and things that are going around. Douglas sort of shouts above the crowd, "Helmets on!" Everyone sticks their helmets on. He's still like fighting people, and he's basically being a distraction for Hitesh to make chloroform and throw down some chloroform and knock everyone out, or something of that ilk.
Okay. Well, the captain's probably like knocked out. I'm going to say he's swaying around, but he's just got that craziness about him. His brain chemistry is already out of sync, and he somehow manages to stay awake. But we scan around the room, and like there's lots of unconscious bodies on the floor, and all you lot with your bubble helmets on, and the Captain Holloway is somehow like with foggy eyes managing to sway and stay upright. Go, what in tarnation just happened?
Stand down, Holloway.
We're taking control of this vessel.
I knew you're all traitorous. As soon as I saw you, pink holes a lot.
Look at you, man. Sit yourself down.
And he kind of drunkenly sits in a chair and grabs himself a bottle of wild turkey. Punk.
I'll zip tie his other hand to the chair while he's doing that, and his legs.
Okay, he doesn't look like the kind of man that zip ties would bother, but he doesn't stop you putting them on anyway.
No.
We need to find the plans, Hitesh.
All right. We need to search this vessel, find those plans, and potentially anything else that'd be useful. Potentially there could be some tools here as well.
Douglas knocks the helmets and says, keep the helmets on for a little bit. It's going to take a little while for this stuff to, dissipate. Sorry.
Very, very clever idea. Well done, Douglas.
Thank you.
I thought of it.
Yeah, I think we probably want to just search or attempt to interrogate this captain and see if he will spill anything useful.
I'm going to see if I can get into if there's any computer files, things like that, see if there's any sort of systems I can get into and have a look, see what they're up to.
If this was a 4-hour session, we could describe in painstaking detail how we're going to search this place. But
yeah,
I do not think we want to do that.
Room by room is the room.
Yeah.
I'll
take a left, then a right. And then a left.
I've got a great blueprint with all the cupboards on, so you can tell me which cupboards you're searching in what order.
Oh, get roll to spot hidden.
And I've set up a VM with the actual computer they've got in the Sealab that you can all scroll through.
That would actually be pretty sweet.
That would be pretty fun. That would be pretty cool.
But to save our viewers and me from such tedium, what we're going to do is make this a curiosity challenge. So you're going to try and discover what's going on. I'm going to put up as a stake that if you fail, if you all suffer, then somehow Mix is going to set off the automatic destruct function. So you better count down as the device is going to go off no matter what. But otherwise, you're going to get some useful information which will help you in your challenge. Okay, so I need to roll a target number for you while I'm getting my dice together. If you can just give me a brief précis of what somebody's doing to kind of help with this situation.
Well, Douglas is in the computers and he has come across some of the sort of layout for the place. So he's directing. He's saying "Oh, this might be a good place to go. This might be a good place to go." I'm going to bring in my maps and my precision from my stuff at the start, my skills and things.
I'm somewhat frustrated by his poor performance in the fist fight. Jeremy is kicking down doors and emptying out all the desks that he can, bringing in determination and the research that he took that he took part in before, as he has looked into a little bit of sort of American naval security. So, which desk will have the important files in and stuff?
Taking out on 2D20 cupboards.
Yeah,
I think Elsa's just going to help Douglas. Look, just she knows she's a little bit out of her depth. Sorry about the pun. And still feeling a little bit worried about going up against Marines. So she's relying on the cool headedness of Douglas to get through this.
I'm also just going over probably maintenance records for the device. So the sort of most boring thing possible. Again, bringing my determination to skim over all these very dry records, but hoping to actually get some insight from that and potentially learn where they might be storing the juicier info about this device.
So Douglas, my curiosity is D8 helping you.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to make this. It's still Amber Alert. I think you're on an American military base, and there's obviously an implied danger, and there could be aquanauts that are still stuck around somewhere that we're outside of the radius of the gas and such. And it's also going to be challenging because top security and there's various countermeasures for intrusion, that kind of stuff. So if you fail in this task, you'll take a point of pressure and you'll lose one of your training gear things. And if you don't have any training or gear, you take an additional pressure. And the target number is going to be, based on curiosity, a 10. Eminently doable, I would imagine.
So you've said that now.
That's the curse. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I might bring in one of my bonds with Douglas here.
I'm going to bring in my bond with Elsa, who's helping me out. What did you say your
D8, 1D8 for curiosity.
And your name dice D6, is it?
Yeah. It is indeed. Yeah.
And I'm using my research specialization skill that I took because this is research.
Yeah,
so
Elsa and I are.
If you spend a bond with someone, use their name die. If they help you instead of acting, then you get the domain.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh yeah, sorry. What's your curiosity?
D8 for my curiosity. My name dice is D6.
Cool. So yeah, that's right. 1d8 for me spending a bond, and 1d6 for that. Cool. Oop, sorry, can't type. Oh, for God's sake.
Where's he retarded McAllister again?
Shot you. But fair. One of those.
Yeah, when you're just chancing it, it's super quick to roll. When you're throwing everything you have, it's a lot.
Yeah. Wait, have I added everything? Yeah.
Okay, so nobody suffers, which is good.
So it's going to be 5 glory for Hitesh and Jeremy and 10 glory for Douglas. And we go in the order of Jeremy, then Hitesh, then Douglas.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of banging and sort of clattering that we can hear, and then we just see this sort of records office where Jeremy's like booted all the desks open, has got all the paperwork just in one massive pile, and is then sort of looking around, realizing he's going to actually have to look through all these documents now, and actually leaving them in the filing cabinets might have made that a bit easier than just tipping everything out on the floor in one massive pile, as he's just trying to find something useful, looking for any sign of like redacted documents, and there's hundreds of them. So gradually assembling this pile, but it's not that useful.
Thankfully, a big pile of documents is exactly what Hitesh was looking for. So set him up perfectly. So I just kind of barge into the room, see this huge pile of papers, my eyes light up. I've done a bit of research prior to this and have a good idea about how these sort of undersea American bases file their paperwork, so I kind of know what to look for, and I pull out some key files and find some pretty useful. Although a lot of it, like I say, is very dry and just kind of technical data. There's little engineers' comments, which is where the really juicy details are. I pull out a few key files suggesting that sectors D5 and D6 are particularly noteworthy, and I rush to hand this over to Douglas to help with his research.
It's brilliant. We're talking about different games. I just wrote down D5 and D6 in my notes as if that was like an important clue that a player had given me. So and you'd not just made it up.
Yeah.
Douglas takes the information test, does some more searching through the computer files, and finds that there's a sort of like a little secret room in between those two sectors that seems to have like a lot of communication networks going to it, a lot of power going to it. Possibly some sort of like remote communication room for the device down in the depths, and pass that information off to Elsa and says, off you go find it. It's here. I trust you to get it done.
Okay. Not only do you find that, you also find Chief Quartermaster Willard Meeks tied up, hog-tied, quite literally, with a brag in his mouth, all the rest of it. You can release. And he like mops his brow and says, "Oh, thank God you got here. Wow, our commander's lost his mind. Oh my God! He took all the engineers off maintenance schedule and got us shooting devil squids. My God, the nuclear reactor, it's gonna blow. You don't understand." And he sort of grabs one of you by the collar and starts shaking you. The nuclear it's gonna blow. Starts blubbering in your face.
We do understand. We've already heard that. That's what we're here to fix, man.
Oh God! Like you can't do it remotely anymore. And he points to the computer screens in the secret compartment in D5.5, and you can see there's like a warning flashes up and stuff like that. It says like the automatic safety protocols have been disabled, and I can't. I've tried to send the drone, but the devilfish ate it. And oh God, someone needs to go down there into the caves. We've got to do something.
I think that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yep.
And there's
sounds like it.
Screaming, clattering noise as he sets off the dot matrix printer with loads of schematics for you, just spooling out page after page as it's taking ages as this countdown's going on in the corner. So you rip off what you can. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to reduce the danger level because you've managed to get schematics and information. So it might make your next target number somewhat easier.
Oh, you've said that now.
Yes.
Not a curse. Thanks for that.
That'll be dead easy. It's going to work sooner or later. And I mean, he tries to help you as best he can and tells you like in that kind of movie way where he goes like they try and talk a plane down or something like that, where an expert's trying to give you all the information that you need in 10 seconds, and you diligently write notes D4 to D6, D5, and but ultimately it's going to involve you getting down into the caves. So it's kind of the approach you're going to take to this. You know that there's huge devilfish squid things about the place. You know the caves are down in the trench, so it's dark and scary. Are you going to try and subtly get your way past the creatures to get in there? Are you going to blast your way past? Are you going to storm in all guns blazing? I've got some other like cunning method. You're going to drill through the mantle of the earth to get there. What are you going to do?
Hitesh, I mean, when I was observing the squid earlier, definitely attracted to light, maybe power as well. I recommend the suits. I know it sounds risky, but they're smaller, less light, less power. I think we get through better. Risky, but I think it works.
No, I agree, and I think time's of the essence.
Excellent. Okay, well, what I think we'll do actually is, since we're going for disarming or making safe the nuclear battery, and there seems to be several elements of it, let's make this a battle. So the first part of this is going to be gaining an advantage and making your plans and scouting out and that kind of stuff. The second part is going to be seizing, so gaining control of the situation or defending against some threats, which I'll introduce shortly. And the last part will be, do you disable or otherwise make safe the nuclear battery? So let's do it. In the battles, the domain's open to you, depending on your approach. So if you each want to tell us what you're doing to kind of make preparations, or in the early parts of setting up advantage, how you kind of like get things going, and then we'll roll some dice and take it from there, if that all makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. Douglas is going to sort of help check everyone's suits, and he's going to pay particular attention to Elsa. He knows she might be scared from our previous adventure, but he's like trying to gear up, trying to bring her into the team a little bit more, trying to bond with her a little bit, like, you know, tell her she can do this, and then like help her get her suit sorted out, etc.
Yeah. So Elsa's checking her own suit, double checking, triple checking, relying on Douglas. I'm going to bring Douglas in to help me to do that. And then looking at the plans that we have off the side of the trench, so she knows I can get down there and rely on the contours, so we can get down to the cave without drawing any undue attention. How we can almost do it without seeing, possibly using weighted lines, so we don't have to rely on light, since these things are attracted by light.
Ready.
I'm going to use the submarine to send out sonar to do one of Hitesh's favourite things, which is mapping out caves and trenches, so that we know what battleground we're dealing with.
Yeah, I'm going to follow what I know of devilfish and giant squid in their sort of hunting patterns, and take an average of those to assume what routes this giant devil squid will take. And also, I've got some camera gear that I brought along from the one thing I managed to save from the cookery tour. So I think in there may be a UV light that I can use to help us navigate, so we don't attract it. So I'm going to try and use that to rig that up to sit on the side of the suit, so we can use that to see.
All sounds ace. Okay, right. Well, let me roll some target number for you. This is any domain, and the target number is going to be 8. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
What's Douglas's name dice? I'm going to
D8.
Okay, cool.
I'm just going to calm dog down.
For listeners at home, that's not a euphemism. He does have a dog he needs to calm down.
I think I'm going to spend a pressure to bring in subtlety as well as curiosity, I think.
Right, Douglas is going to go for determination and bringing in warmth as well, because he's trying to sort of like organize and G everyone up and sort of get them going.
I'll get these interns to make themselves useful.
Not my research. I'm adding warmth. Maybe else.
So, Hitesh and Jeremy will need to roll your name dice to see who's best out of you two.
Unless Douglas crushes us, right?
Well, to get the order of narration, we need to separate.
3 of you.
Yeah, 3 of us need to.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay, so Elsa heads it off, then Jeremy, then Hitesh, then Douglas. It's 8 glory for Douglas and 4 for the rest of you. So let's start with Elsa, please.
Well, I mean, she does what she needs to do, right? So she's all ready to go. She's mapped it all out. She starts down there with confidence, hiding what little fear she now has. She's trying to get back in the game, and she's doing a pretty good job of it. So she doesn't make any mistakes. But clearly she is not going to fill the words of her journal with glory, self-promoting glory as a result of this.
That's okay, because you've got Chief Quartermaster Meeks go with you. Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. That's right. Just stick to procedures. We'll all be fine. Okay, then Jeremy, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, as Jeremy sort of sets off in the dive, I think he is successful in sort of navigating around the devilfish, but just stops and kind of pulls everyone back and hangs back at a moment where there's a little cave, little indentation in the trench, which would be perfect for us to just hide in and watch it go past. But after what happened last time, when he was hiding in a little indentation in a cave from the shark, he just can't bring himself to lead everyone into it. So he just waits and sort of turns his lamp off, and then it won't come back on again, and they have to sort of make do and move forward slightly cautiously against it. It just hasn't really seized the advantage.
Okay, Hitesh.
I'm able to build on Jeremy's little intel report using my sonar. I have to do some kind of difficult sort of trick where I find a concave bit of the cave to bounce the sonar off and into the cave that Jeremy has just identified. I'm able to map it out and find that as Jeremy's hunch predicted, it is perfect for our purposes, but I'm able to confirm it using data.
Ace, and then finally Douglas.
Douglas sort of leads the way ahead through all the mapping that Jeremy and Hitesh have done, but also over the raise. Let's take a moment, gents. I mean, there's danger here, but there's also beauty, and you look out and you see these sort of the sort of big squid and everything like that sort of glowing in the darkness as well. And just take a moment to sort of wonder at that as we descend down in, or bring the team together about it.
Okay, you get a D10 advantage die to use either in the next phase or the finale. You can note that down. So as you plumb the depths, you find the bioluminescent markers which give away the entrance to the cave, and can think about heading in. But as you're ready to make your descent, and everybody's giving themselves the signals and thumbs up and everything else, there are some threats that you may wish to consider. The first is that as you're happily going towards the caves, Captain Holloway and some of his men have escaped and are going across to the other part of the Sealab to kill the Doctor and the other Commie Pinkar scientists that he believes are responsible for all this. And maybe if he'll take out his vengeance against you on them and come for you next, who knows? And the other part is that Charles Montague Beauchamp is going to steal your sub. He's going to have a conversation with Daniel and offer him a much superior position, and playing with Champagne Chateau de Neuf and other things, and he'll woo Daniel away so that when you come back up you won't have your submarine anymore. So those are your two threats. You can ignore them, but if you do, they'll definitely happen.
I definitely want to counter Beauchamp unless anybody else was super attached to that.
Oh, see that? I think that's yours. Yeah, for sure.
Oh gosh, I think I'm going to probably end up using Douglas's idea, and when I realise that Holloway's going back, I think I'm going to use a bit of bravado, and I'm going to go back and deal with them. Find a way to do it.
I'm going to sure.
Yeah, I'll be going to cut the red wire or whatever. Find out.
Yeah, I'll go Jeremy and C's.
Yeah, with C's.
Excellent. Right, let me roll a target number for you then. I'm going to put this up to red alert because it feels like the stakes are high now.
Remind me what red alert does, guys?
It's going to cost you a pressure to enter the contest.
Right.
I'm keeping the danger level where it is though, because you managed to reduce that, so that's something. And it's going to be any domain, and the target number is 9. Easy peasy.
It's a slightly unconventional use of it, but I think justifiable unless you want to counter me, guys. I want to use documentation to help me because Beauchamp is worried about his image. So if I'm there with a recorder and a camera on him, it'll make him more self-conscious and make it more likely to drop what he's trying to do. Is that allowable?
Sounds fine to me.
Cool.
Yes. I'm going to try and be careful while this is going on. Just cast my mind back to Elsa's repeatedly, like trying to persuade him to not go charging in or guns blazing, and just use that bond. Which is it? D6 your name die?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going for determination with a bit of subtlety. You know, wants to get it done, but wants to take his time over it. Wants to use the plans, use the information we've got, not just go hell bent for leather. I'm also going to bring in my radio tech that I've got to keep us in communication, so we can coordinate what's going on between us. I've got a bond with Jeremy. Do I want to bring that in? Yeah, we're doing this together. I'm going to spend my bond with Jeremy.
I'm D8 now, name die. Just
awesome. That's very helpful.
There's a ping goes off underwater.
It leveled up. Yeah.
There's a halo above your head. It's very strange.
80 glory. Yeah.
I'm basically going to confront Holloway and the Marines and convince the Marines that Holloway is no longer fit for duty, and he's clearly determined to destroy everybody in this blaze of glory. And I'm hoping to get the Marines to realise this and turn against him. And I'm going to make reference to what I learned in my own self journey with my book about fear and how fear has affected him and turned him into a crazed megalomaniac.
Yeah, you can have a D10 for your book on that. That sounds perfect.
I thought I'd done well, but Hitesh got 20.
Yeah. Really came through for me.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the massive target number that's going to come next. You're all going to roll with that.
Oh, that's why I keep my advantage like back.
Okay, just waiting for Elsa's results, and then I'll give you an order.
18. Whoa, that's the best I've ever got.
It's
Got my own
not the
personal
best.
army.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
me, that's amazing.
So we hear first. Well, you all get 5 glory apart from Hiteshi gets 9. Nobody suffers, and we'll go in the order of Jeremy, then Douglas, then Elsa, and then Hitesh.
I think Jeremy is making his way to this nuclear device almost comically slowly. And we just see like there's various coloured wires, and we see a sort of gloved hand with some wire clippers like hover above one, then the other, and just sort of turn back towards Douglas, like not quite able to act with his usual bravado here.
Yeah, I think in the caves with all the bioluminescent moss there, everything's kind of got this turquoisey blue-green glow. So you've got like these wires that all look various shades of blue. And you're not sure which is the blue one or the red one for any of that matter.
Yeah.
Douglas puts his hand on Jeremy's shoulder, takes the clippers from him, puts it on a wire, and cuts. I'll come to that, I guess.
Elsa?
Yeah. So heading back up to the port side, realising that the Marines under the direction of Holloway are about to do something very, very dangerous. She stands there firm in the airlock, no doubt having M4s or M14s or whatever aimed at her, assault rifles. She sort of stands there and she talks to the Marines, telling them that he's no longer fit for duty, and in the end they turn on him, bind him up. He goes kicking and screaming and talking about commie bastards and all that kind of stuff, but she convinces them that the best thing they could do right now is help the scientist deal with this situation, rather than escalate it further.
Yeah, and the second in command, Chief Quartermaster Meeks, who you've managed to rescue, takes his kind of he's very good at logistics and organising things and helping people, so that all starts to go off beautifully. And then finally Hitesh.
Yes, I think I get a real win here, if you'll allow me, since my total was a 20. I think I managed to really show up Beauchamp. So my plan was just go up there with a camera, get it on him so he feels self-conscious, maybe convince the interns into sort of pushing him away, turning him away, and then the sub will be ours. But I called on my warmth because I wanted to try and get Daniel and the interns on side, and that goes really well. For whatever reason, Daniel decides that Beauchamp is more of an annoying old man even than Hitesh, and so he gets into it. And of course, the interns follow suit because they do everything Daniel does, which means I end up with some really choice footage of a bunch of these interns and Daniel saying, "Go away, old man! You're out of your depth. You're too old for this." And Beauchamp, the angle I catch him, just makes him look old and sad and tired as he's forced to kind of slink away. And so I don't know how to use this footage without looking really petty, but it's a good one-up on my rival.
Daniel will help you if they edit. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Daniel will probably have to leak it. That's how we get away with it.
Yeah, saying you're out of your depth would have been great for social media if such a thing existed. As it is, it'll be all over the letters pages of the New Scientist or something.
Exactly.
As a witty riposte a month after the original letter. Excellent. So yes, tail between his legs, he's forced to go. The crews of both sides of Sealab are starting to be evacuated. Wires have been cut down below. But it seems that the safety protocols of the nuclear device have also been cut, along with the self-arming. So we need a final contest. Because you succeeded, Hitesh, you get to pick the domain for the final conflict. So depending on how you're going to try and either disarm, make safe, or do something else with the nuclear battery, that will frame what the contest is about.
I think it's just going to be determination here. We're battling against the elements. The time for subtlety is over. We've prepared well, and it's just about keeping cool under the depths.
Very good. So yeah, you can either all take part or you can split it up. It's however you want, and we need to make a determination challenge to see if you can safely disarm the bomb. I don't think I need to stress what the the stake is if you get this wrong, but it might be a 3-session run we're doing of this and not 5 as originally planned.
The real challenge is if we all fail, you have to work out how we don't just all die, but worry about that.
Or not.
Or
not need to. I'm definitely going to come back down to help my colleagues and deal with this.
Do we still need to mark another pressure? I assume we're still on red alert.
Still a red alert. Disarming a nuclear bomb effectively. I think that's...
Yeah.
So can I mark barotrauma for that then?
Yes.
For this one, but I can't choose to mark it for...
So, yeah, boring rules question. I have to mark alert to participate in this. Presumably I can't then choose to mark barotrauma to bring in an extra domain. I'm stopped by doing that.
I think this is a table we can't do that, so rather than tediously check the rules, we're going to stick with the consistency.
Yep, happy with that.
And red alert means I do need to tick a trauma training or gear to enter it. Yeah.
Red alert's pressure.
Okay, fine.
So mark a pressure or bomber trauma.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to be using my planning then.
What's our target number?
The target number is going to be. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, depressingly low 10. That lowering the strife levels ruined me, I think. Okay.
I'm gonna, inspired by Douglas's, I sort of shake off this obsession with safety, and begin like pulling off loads of safety stuff and ripping out some of the things that alarm it to do it without a care in the world. Confident that just getting stuff done will work. Yeah. If we cut them all, it's bound to work, isn't it? Yeah. They're all blue, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. Douglas is definitely going to inspire me as well. So
oh dear.
Drawing
what have I done?
On his name dice as well, which is D6 or
D8? D8.
Yeah, I'm bringing in Douglas as well, and I've also got emergency gear, which seems like a perfect time to use emergency gear.
I'm feeling a lot of pressure on this roll. You're so inspirational. Maybe not the correct way. Douglas is inspired by his colleagues sort of coming together for this, but he is also like he's gonna take a step back because he's like pushed too far before. So I'm gonna bring in subtlety. I've got one final pressure to spend, so I'm gonna bring in subtlety. I can't bring in documentation or camera gear in any reasonable way, so I'm not going to.
Okay, so Jeremy's going to suffer. You get 1 glory. It's 5 glory for Elsa and Douglas, and then full 10 glory for Tesh. So let's run it. It's Jeremy cutting all the wise man up with the wisest move. Then it's Douglas. Then it's Elsa. Then it's Tesh.
Yeah, I think as he's cutting them, there's like a timer countdown to pressure release that is at like, I don't know, 3 minutes, and as he cuts the wires, it like clicks straight down to 2 and then to 1 again, and he sort of looks and you see again his hand hesitates to do it. Before he cuts it again, it starts just spiraling down from there. I'm taking 2 pressure basically, aren't I? What a pressure and an equipment thing.
Yeah.
For failing. Is that right? Okay, but yeah, I've succeeded in bringing the detonation forwards.
That's it. There's the time accelerates. Okay, Douglas.
Douglas sort of finds where the wires of the timer are connected to the thing and pulls those timer, and like just throws it into the ocean, throws it out the cave of the ocean as it floats off, gets hit by a squid.
Okay.
Hopes that that'll do everything. So he's like, yeah, just remove the timer, it'll be fine, right?
The timer's no longer going down. You've achieved that.
That's how this works, right?
Elsa.
I think so Elsa sees what's going on and realises that we've got seconds left, and as much as the other guys have helped, and it's all on her test, so she turns, she sort of grabs his helmet and puts her helmet against his and just looks at him and says, you've got this, now do it. and just sort of backs off and gives him the space to save our lives.
Yes, emboldened by Elsa, Hitesh realizes that although it looks bad, there's his original plan might just be able to work. Looking back, I called on a bond with Douglas, so I look back and him pulling off the timer revealed the thing we need to find, which is like the sort of core where all the sort of uranium is stored. That's kind of the pure heart of this bomb. And so perhaps a little unthinkingly, Douglas has uncovered that, and if we can sort of deal with that, then this thing will be disarmed. I called on my emergency gear. I've got a little propeller that I was thinking maybe I would need to use to kind of zip around, but instead I attach it to this core and send it down deep into the depths, where with enough speed, it's as I planned, it's crushed by the pressure, and so there's a breathtaking moment when we watch this thing go out into the depths, and we're waiting to see if an explosion is going to come back up to meet us, but thankfully we're met only by silence and stillness as we realize that this thing is no longer a threat.
Wonderful. And as you claw your way out of the darkness towards the lighter area, you can see the remains of Sealab 4. You're feeling quite good about yourself. You're probably high-fiving and generally congratulating as you go up. It's probably then, Hitesh, that you realise that as the aquanauts and the scientists have left, the devilfish has come back and started worrying at this remains of Sealab. And you notice that the area where your rival had been, that Irish door that he shut to the lab, you can see from the outside, from this angle now as you're returning rather than going away from it. There's a clear viewport around it, obviously, and it looks like within it is a sack of eggs of some sort that have been kept within the Sealab, which is causing this devilfish no end of torment. As it continues to worry away at the metalwork and thrash about, and as it sees the four of you, maybe it views you as prey, maybe it's hungry and needs to increase its energy so it can attack the Sealab some more, maybe it's just generally furious, but it seems like this creature is still enraged. So what approach are you going to take to either avoid it, or to calm it down, or to send it away, or otherwise just escape without inflaming the devilfish's ire some more?
And get in the lab, get those eggs out for it, right?
And if we can
it has the right to breed.
Yeah.
Release the door, let it get to the eggs, and then
If people are gone, we could just flood the thing, and the eggs would float out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that, fine.
So what's the approach going to be for that?
Flooding it? I'm not sure.
Subtlety to get past it, or determination to get past it? Something, one of those two?
I feel that subtlety's probably...
Subtlety,
Yeah.
Yeah, by subtlety, and our big task was just determination. So if nothing else, for the sake of varying it up, let's maybe make it subtlety.
I didn't use the advantage dice during the battle. Can I use it now?
No, you have to use it during the battle.
No, fair enough.
I'm going to be mean about it.
No, I just totally forgot about it.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Oops. Oops.
Yeah, the devilfish doesn't care about the nuclear battery.
No, that's completely fair.
Okay, so let's just have one last challenge then. I'll not get you to overly explain what you're doing. We can do the narration afterwards, but this is about whether you can calm the new breed of undersea creatures that there are, or whether there's going to be a new menace to humanity based on their interaction with you. So the target number is going to be, based on subtlety, we said, a meager 7. A chance for glory for you all.
I'm bringing in my research on this one for sure.
Okay, in one of the more controversial episodes of A Prawn in Every Port, it's probably a good job it didn't air. We did go diving for and collecting devilfish caviar. And so Jeremy's got a bit of a knowledge of how to release the eggs, and what sort of solvents to use and how you have to really carefully like lever them off. It's up to you what that bonus dice is worth.
I mean, it feels tenuous. You can have a D6, I think, for that one.
Yeah.
Elsa, are you taking part? Because I will probably lend my support to you. It's only a D6 for my subtlety, I'm afraid. But Hitesh is exhausted and still kind of off that high from trying to defuse the bomb. So he's gonna give to Elsa what Elsa just gave to him and kind of be behind her and encouraging her.
Rely on his support then, and I'm going to I'm spending pressure to bring in my warmth. So I'm going to sort of try to, I guess, understand the creature, understand its intent, use my sort of empathy, as it were, to avoid it and then release the eggs.
I'm going to upset you now because the devilfish is cold, so you can't use warmth with it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't. I probably would have tried and failed. Okay. Let me just redo that.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Definitely going to be relying on Nitesh for this one then.
I'm not amazing. It's only a d6.
It's only a 7 though.
I know, but it worked. So thank you very much, Hitesh.
Ace. Okay, so Hitesh has got a bond with Elsa now and gets 1 glory. It's going to be Jeremy that did best. You get 7, the others get 4, and we'll just go in the order of Douglas, then Elsa, then Jeremy, please.
Douglas sort of cracks open a flare to distract the devilfish and sort of throws it the opposite direction through the water, and then sort of starts to lead the group towards the Sealab and the door.
Elsa, realising that we're not going to have the time to connect up, she looks at Hitesh as a sort of silent agreement between them. She puts her helmet on and then she heads out to open the doors so that we can get the eggs out, or the creature can get in. Braving the presence of this massive devilfish thing.
And then Jeremy.
Yeah, so I think heads out with Elsa as well. As the doors are open, the eggs are still staying like glued. I was going to say glued, whatever.
Buoyantly just hanging around in the...
Yeah. They're not getting freed, and the devilfish is still becoming enraged with them. So Jeremy luckily still has a big ladle that he used before, which is the sort of scaled up equivalent of the teaspoon that you'd normally use to gather them. So he sets to work at the side, and as they fly off into the sea, we can see the devilfish begin to go around, maybe come along and start to gather them up as it swims maybe between me and Elsa as we're both doing this. And there's a moment of, as its bioluminescence swims like across us, our eyes meet as we've managed to successfully calm it.
Excellent stuff. All that happens, even the dead-like cold eyes of the devilfish seem to be cute in the slight bioluminescence. And you can all return back to your vessel up on the surface. To much applause. And there's Gaz Taylor's giving some cash over to Obi. And I was going, I see, I told you they'd come back. He was like, oh, he's just kind of like shrugging. Well, I mean, it's been quite some time now. But otherwise, you can return. Unfortunately, there was no sign of any wreckage or the sort of shipwreck that you wanted to discover based on your map. Maybe it's down in that trench, or maybe now it's imploded with the nuclear bomb. Who knows? But the American frigate that you sensed in the storm, you can now see bearing down on your location, and it's time to make a quick exit before you're asked to make some answers as to what's happened. Maybe leaving the American aquanauts in some dinghies or something to be picked up by their crewmates, and taking the scientists whether you're leaving them or not. But just to wrap up, let's have a little visionette of each of you and kind of what you get up to as you're sailing back to port.
Okay, yeah, there's a shot of Jeremy just on deck again with a little glass of chilled white wine, as he often is, and we see him with taking a little cracker, put some cream cheese over it. He opens the little tin of caviar, and we see his spoon go to it, and he just puts the spoon, and he can't bring himself to spread it on, and just puts it away and just pushes it to one side and just has it with the cream cheese for now.
Lovely.
Hitesh goes. We see Hitesh and Elsa still in the research library, but both of them looking perhaps a little more confident. And Hitesh offers a handshake to Elsa and says, "You've availed yourself today, and I think you were right. I think confronting your fears has brought you through stronger and better. And I'm proud that you're part of our crew." And then perhaps the handshake turns into a hug.
It does, yeah. Elsa gives him a hug, and she sort of looks. I couldn't have done it without you, Hitesh. I don't think the other guys really understand what I went through, but I was glad we were there for each other, and we can say though I doubt anyone will realise it, that we kind of saved a lot of people today. We need to be proud about that. And she sort of looks off into the middle distance, but is aware that Hitesh is present and is smiling.
We see a shot of the dinner bell in the galley, and it's dinging away. And Douglas has been down in the kitchens preparing a Burns night supper for its Burns night, and so there's lots of like good old Scottish stodge on the table, some whiskey, some beers, and a sort of a celebration of life and poetry and readings and that kind of thing.
Excellent, and all the assembled cast as well join in. Even Daniel seems quite taken with a bonhomie and saying to his entire, they're not bad for boomers, really. It's kind of like join in and tell poetry and things like that. Excellent. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for playing. I think we shall leave our session for now there. Thanks very much for everybody for watching. If you did, leave a like, a comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think of this journey so far. Let us think perhaps where you think the characters are going to go next time, if you wish. And until then, I shall say goodbye.